everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Inside Answering Legal podcast. I'm your host, Taryn Winter Brill, but just call me TWB. So, assuming the name hasn't already given it away, this is the podcast where we provide a behind-the-scenes look at Answering Legal's 24/7 virtual receptionist service and customer experience. Now, during the first season of this podcast, we're going to be talking to longtime company leaders, as well as real attorneys who use Answering Legal. All lawyers are welcome to join us on this journey. And hey, if you don't know that much about Answering Legal or phone answering services in general, you are definitely in the right place. I promise you will know a ton of information by the end of this episode. Now, if you're already an Answering Legal customer, definitely stay tuned throughout the season because we'll be showcasing new and exciting ways to use our service. So to start off the show, I wanted to answer some of the most common questions lawyers have about the Answering Legal experience. And who better to help me do that than Nick Werker, Marketing Director at Answering Legal. Nick, it's wonderful to have you with us.
Great to be here. Great to be working with you. Excited to help kick off the show.
Likewise. Here we go. You ready to dive in, NW? Is it okay if I call you NW?
You can. Strange for me being on the other end of this, but I'm going to do my best, and hopefully that's good.
All good, because I'm a TW, so it's sort of TW and NW getting into it.
I like our energy already.
Excellent. All right, here we go. So we're going to start things on a personal note, NW. Can you tell us a little bit about your history at the company and why you're the perfect person to help us answer questions about the Answering Legal experience?
I started here, I like to say on day two. So Rob and Brooke, I've known them for a long time, started the company. And very soon after, they realized that they were going to need a lot of help because there was such a great demand for this service. So I started in sales. I was on the phones, talking to lawyers every day and kind of spreading the word about what an answering service could potentially do for a firm. And I learned a lot about how to tell lawyers and how to communicate with lawyers about how they should run their business. And really, I got into the actual business of running a law firm. So I would understand, that they have to be in court. Hiring and firing is a big issue for them. Meeting with clients is a big issue. Communicating with their clients is a main reason why people get in trouble with the bar, and also they get bad reviews. So I took all of that knowledge, and in that time we were small. So I would help with the support team and answer people's concerns and deal with a lot of, say a customer was having an issue with call forwarding. I learned everything that there was to learn about this business because we were small. We were a family-owned company and they needed help.
Right. When
I ended up taking over marketing, I was able to more effectively let lawyers know that I understood how the business of law works. Right. I understand how Answering Legal can best fit each type of law firm. Even if I don't know exactly how you're running your law firm, if you tell me how your phones are, what type of law you practice, how many people work in your firm and what your caseload is, I can really give you a good idea of how much it's going to cost, when you're going to need it the most, what types of questions you should be answering on the phone, and how long all of your calls are going to last for. So all that experience combined really prepared me to take over marketing here. And I guess that's why I'm the perfect person to answer a bunch of questions about law firms answering.
I mean, Nick, you sound like you're what you call a utility player, right? You do a little bit of everything. You know how each part of the business works. And when it comes to marketing the business, it's hey, I know the nuts and bolts because I've done it directly. So that's pretty amazing. Not many people can say that.
I like that you say utility player. My favorite Yankees player is Isaiah Kiner Falefa, the utility player for the Yankees. So shout out IKF.
There you go. Meant to be. All right. So all that said, utility player Nick Werker, let's back up for a second. Can you explain to our audience the basics about what a virtual receptionist service provides, and also tell us about what makes Answering Legal a little different from the average receptionist service?
Sure. So more so than any other type of business, I would say law firms rely on the phone for a lot of their business. And it's hard to provide the level of customer service that law firm clients need when you're a small or solo practitioner, because you can only do one thing, and you really went to law school to do one thing, right? So anybody who wants to compete against, big law or these bigger personal injury firms or even like mid-sized firms,
Yeah.
it's really important to like have that parity in competition. So what a law firm call center or answering service virtual receptionist provides is this level of parity. Now, that parity comes from you being able to assist the customer no matter what. If you're in court or you have to enter a consultation or you're just running a business, right? Like there's things like I gotta meet with a landlord to make sure that my office is open. I gotta hire and fire staff. I have to consult on technology. I have to get a CRM. I have to meet with my marketing team. There's any number of things that a law firm owner can be doing, especially at that level.
Right.
And when people call your office, they expect and really demand a level of customer service that I would say is the same type of thing that I would expect at like a hotel. They really want a concierge experience.
Exactly.
So having a customized, dedicated, and really like integrated member of your team answer the phone every time, those customers are not going to get that like, whoa, this person doesn't care about my business, I'm going to go to a competitor. They get the experience that they're looking for. So like I mentioned before, there's a level of parity, right? So big law can afford to staff hundreds of receptionists or dozens, right? I've heard of big law firms having their own call centers. What we make sure is that every time someone calls your firm, no matter how big or small you are, the person calling your firm is speaking to your firm directly. They're not talking to a message center or a voicemail where they're not confident that you are going to get their message. We really take the time to, and this gets into the second part of the question, is why is answering legal? I'll call it a premium service as opposed to, like a cheap, smaller call center, is that we customize every aspect of what you could possibly think of in a phone call. So I'll just take you through, because I think it might give you a better picture. Our onboarding process is, the first question we ask is how you like your phones answered. And what we mean by that is, what do you want us to say when we answer the phone? So like, say you're the TWB law office, right? Every time we answer your phone, you don't want us to just say law office.
Right.
It just sounds cheap and it sounds hurried.
Yeah, it's cold.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll say, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for calling TWB Law. How may we help you?
Right.
And I actually sound kind of good when I say that.
You sound great. Have you ever answered the phones, by the way?
Only a couple of times. They only needed me to do that a couple of times.
All right. You'd fit right in.
Listen, a fallback option. I'll get back on the phone. Doesn't matter.
Right. If this whole marketing thing doesn't work out, you have a backup plan.
Hopefully. So we customize everything, right? The other thing that we're able to offer law firms is, I'll say, legal intake. We train our receptionists to perform like an actual legal intake. And it's customized to your law firm, but that doesn't really, like, anybody can just take down the information and get the questions and ask the questions, but we really make sure that our receptionists know how to perform a legal intake. So we train them in things like how to deal with an irate caller. We train them on, they have sensitivity training to make sure, these are sensitive issues that we're talking about. And I actually get a lot of feedback. I have my hands in a lot of jars here, or a lot of pies, is it? Right? That's the thing.
Both. Yeah. A lot of pies, jars. It works.
So recently I was editing an internal company newsletter, and the feedback that we got from receptionists, because they wanted to tell like a work story, was, I won't get into like the nitty gritty, but they were able to help somebody with this really complicated, really sensitive problem. And they said, this is their favorite job ever. And I know, like, yeah, sure, I'm whatever, getting Mr. Softy here, but it's nice to know that our receptionist can actually serve your clients instead of just like, it's nice to know we can practice what we preach here. I know that may be a circumnavigation around your question. That's how I talk. I'm long-winded. I'm sorry.
All good. I don't even remember what I asked, but I'm with you. I love all of it. I have so many questions based on what you just said, but really the takeaway for me, Nick, from everything you just said is customization, right? This is not one size fits all, right? Each firm is getting a customized answering service, right? So you don't feel like you're a cookie cutter, and it's really about specificity, which is so important. It's like beyond words how important that is for making a customer feel comfortable.
I appreciate you making me sound better.
You sounded just fine, but really, that's what separates you guys, right? Everyone else just says law firm. No, I mean, our people answering the phone, it's as if they're at your firm, right? And that speaks volumes, literally and figuratively.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So all of that said, tell us a little bit more about these people that make up the Answering Legal virtual receptionist team. And why should lawyers out there, really feel comfortable, Nick, letting our receptionists answer really important calls on behalf of their firms?
So here's something that I'm good at. I'm not good at taking credit for accomplishments, but I'm very good at giving credit away.
Okay.
So there are a few people here, and especially the founders and owners of this company, Rob and Brooke Shatlis. They set the groundwork a long time ago for just treating people right, paying people right, and really being an employee first company. When there's trust that that you can speak up and like not fear repercussions, and you trust that like you're in a safe environment, you can work better. That being said, there are a few people I would like to mention. Gina Novellino, our VP of Human Resources, and Alyssa Galicchio, our COO, do a really great job of finding the right people and getting them trained on how to really provide the best customer service that we can to lawyers. Because they are in that place, they're able to manage these teams where we onboard. It used to be that like people would come in for an interview because we were a lot smaller and you could meet the receptionist. And I still have long-standing relationships with a lot of the people who have been answering our phones for, now it's 10 years. We had a 10-year anniversary party and there were, like everybody's, but now I don't know everybody. I still have the same level of faith that we're able to do that job because, we've grown so much. It's given a lot of people a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
What I will say is that our hiring process is super transparent. I will say that our training process is constantly ongoing, and it's almost corny, right? Like you think that, oh man, I do this job, I don't need to be trained, but a lot of people want to learn more about how to do their job well.
Right.
I'm one of those people. I love to read more about what's going on in my industry. So if you're doing a job, you might want to do it better. They do these webinars for receptionists on new types of features that we're going to be offering, how to more effectively patch a call, how to talk to the attorney. Like it's intimidating. You call up an attorney and you're like, hey, I got this phone call on the line for you. How to better talk to and they have all of these new customer trainings. So, we onboard, I don't know, it's got to be in the hundreds, but we onboard a lot of new customers every month. So people who have been here for a while may not be familiar with those new accounts. They have to get trained on them, especially 100%. When there's nuance and customization. It's not a cookie cutter thing. Right. It is a very difficult job. But the fact that we spend time with our employees, continue to give them opportunities to learn and grow, just gives me it puts a lot of faith in me that, like, I don't want to be one of those like snake oil people who sells you something that I don't necessarily believe in. It's really nice for me to have this like mission statement where I know that we're helping customers find lawyers and find good representation so that they can get help for the problems that they want. And we help lawyers do business, So to me, I feel good about it. That time, I'm pretty confident I answered the question that you asked.
No, you did. And it's really, first off, it's just great. I'm so glad you spoke about what the environment is like to work at Answering Legal, because that's so important, right? That's the tone for everything, right? For not only the virtual receptionist team, but the entire staff, right? And in terms of the virtual receptionist team, I just love the fact that, you never stop learning in any job. It's constantly evolving, right? There's new processes coming through, right? Like you said, new customers, new firms, right? It's not one size fits all. So you have to constantly be learning and wanting to learn. And it's just, it's great that you foster an environment of people who want to do that, right? That are hungry to learn, to be sponges, to soak it up. And that if you don't understand something, you speak up, right? That's so key in any environment. So bravo, way to go, Nick.
I can't take credit. I won't take credit.
You can, a little
I'm
bit.
happy to be here.
All good. We're happy to have you. All right, next question for you. So again, I love saying all that said, because we've said a lot, but that said, all these questions kind of flow into each other. Why is it so important for attorneys to be answering their phones live on a 24/7 basis? Because there's really never any hiatus, right?
So this is a really good question. And I used to be a really big believer that your biggest case could come in at 5 o'clock in the morning, and especially criminal lawyers, crimes happen at night. DWIs happen late at night.
Exactly.
My traffic ticket that I got recently was at unfortunately 12:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't ask me.
I won't.
That is true. To me, it's more important to know with 100% certainty that I am constantly providing the level of customer service that my clientele really need. So the thing that we consult on for a lot of law firms is how we should be answering the phones, like when we should get the phone call using call forwarding. And what we've really been pushing for the last few years is this method of call forwarding called conditional call forwarding.
Okay.
If you're not familiar, conditional call forwarding is it's on constantly. So TW, you have voicemail on your phone, right? Like if I call you right now and you don't answer, it goes to voicemail.
Correct.
I'm sure you've heard the automated thing 100 times.
Yes.
Or 100,000 times.
Yes.
You have been forwarded to your automated voice call messaging service, whatever, right?
Right.
That's call forwarding. Technically, what happens at the end of the phone call, after a few rings, your phone takes that phone call and forwards it to a voicemail box. When you call your voicemail, it's a separate phone number. What we do is using conditional call forwarding, we bypass that voicemail, and the call, instead of going there, comes to us. Okay. So the fact that it's on 100% of the time, and with 100% certainty that every single phone call is going to get answered, you can do a lot of things, right? So the number one thing you can do is, if you're hungry for more business, you want to scale, you want to grow, you can spend a lot of money advertising, right? So like if you find a good advertising company and those leads are going to keep coming in and you want to grow, that you're going to capture at least 100% of those phone calls. Whether or not you get back to them is not in my wheelhouse. Right. You can also sleep at night knowing that people are calling your firm, and you don't have to necessarily worry about that. You can spend time with your family. Yeah. And this is a lesser talked about part of the legal profession, but lawyers went to school for a long time so that they could make an investment in themselves and then live the life that they want to live, and not work themselves into the ground. So one of the lawyers that I recently spoke with, Laura Pfeiffer, she's like, I want to play golf. I want to pick up my kids from the school bus. I don't want to I want to sit down to dinner with my husband, and I want to be able to have a glass of wine at night. These are the things that are important to people, right? Like, don't let life pass you by. You made this investment in yourself. You deserve to live a good life. Right. And Answering Legal allows you to do any number of things. Just knowing that you have constant support.
Coverage.
Yeah, coverage is a great word. Thank you.
It's true. I mean, just that peace of mind. I was thinking coverage. I was just thinking peace of mind that you're never missing a lead, right? Nothing is ever going unanswered. I mean, that's pretty incredible, right? That you have, 100% confidence that the phone will be answered. It's up to you whether or not you want to call them back, but that's part of the process. But really incredible. I mean, let me ask you, how do you guys compare to competitors? Are there other people out there doing what you guys do?
Sure. So there are I'll call them other premium services. There's absolutely a lot of answering services out there that do a really good job. A lot of them nowadays are 24/7. So one of our biggest selling points back in the day used to be we're 24/7. They're not.
Yeah.
You if you get a call at 11 o'clock at night, and that portion or that value proposition is really true, right? Like I can't really take time out of my workday to call a lawyer to deal with something because like I'm at work.
Right.
So outside of work hours is really where customers are trying to find lawyers and get in contact with them.
Yeah.
That's what I would say is really important. But compared to competitors, we offer a lot more customization and what I'll call like reliability.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I've been here over 9 years. I can't tell you the last time or in my tenure here when the call center has ever gone down. I will say that there's hurricanes that hit and we got generators and I've been hooking up generators before.
Yeah. Wow.
Before we had access to a remote call center software, I used to drive around and pick people up from work and drive them here so that they could answer phones.
Yeah.
Now, after COVID, the world has gone largely remote, which has been a blessing in disguise for us.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't knock any competitors. I really think that there's different needs for different people and that competitors can do a great job. But what I will say is that if you're looking for a personal touch where everyone that works here is heavily invested in your success,
Right.
and that we will be constantly reliable and accountable to anything that goes on. This is a business of people, right? The people that answer your phones are human beings. So someone's going to have a bad day. Someone's going to have a mistake, but we'll own it. We'll fix it. And we'll make sure that we are as consistent as possible for your firm. That's what I can say about us.
Right.
And I don't want to talk bad about anybody else, but I just have faith in our service.
Yeah. Yeah, love that. I mean, that's, really getting down to the nitty gritty. At the end of the day, you guys are a personal concierge service, right? I mean, that's the highest level of service with that personal touch. So it's so important. Very difficult to get to that level. And you guys are doing it, so comprehensively. That's why people keep coming back. So bravo. On a lighter note, you really have done everything, Nick Werker. You've also set up generators. You've done it all.
I won't say that I set up a generator because I am I'm a scaredy cat and I'm scared of getting electrocuted, but I've pushed generators and I've just like assisted, that
counts.
I'm heavily invested. I love this place. I like that the people that work here, can make a living and to me, like our customers really rely on us. We make a lot of promises. We promise we're open 24/7. We promise that we're going to be consistent. We promise we're going to be reliable, and we promise that we're going to work on our service. And those things are important to me. So in any way that I can help this place continue to succeed and thrive, like I'm gonna do it. If you 100%. Call me, I'm gonna be here.
There's that utility player. But as you said, it's really just that consistency that customers have come to love, right? Because you guys, it's just consistency across the board, and that's what you're paying for. And even in a natural disaster, there's a generator, right? Like everything is covered, and that's what people want. They want to know that they're covered.
Nowadays, it's a big generator.
Yeah, yes, I can imagine that. That's another podcast episode, as they say.
Oh, it's another podcast episode.
Exactly. All right. Well, speaking, you've talked about how you're vetting the receptionists, the training, the personal concierge service. Take us through, Nick, how a call might be handled by the answering legal team. Now, I understand lawyers have a lot of options to choose from.
So I'll just give you the 4 main laws that we answer for just because, there's 4 types of lawyers or really like practice areas where you would really need an answering service. So the 4 main ones are criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, and family law. I'll give you start to finish, nuts and bolts, how a call might go. So we covered this before. How you would answer the phone is really like we customize it, but it really should be sort of the same every single time. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for calling TWB Law. How may I help you?
Right.
If it's a criminal defense firm, most likely the person calling has a criminal case.
Sure.
So what we'll do is we'll ascertain we'll get all the personal information first. I'm skipping that. We'll get the caller's name, their phone number, and why they're calling you. So that really is the type of case, right?
Yep.
Once we figure out the type of case, we'll ask a few more questions. So for a criminal case, we'll ask the date of the arrest, the charge, the county or municipality that it's in. And then there's usually a couple of nuanced things. So like if it's a DUI, we'll ask if you took a field sobriety test. We'll ask if you had a breathalyzer test. We'll ask if they took you to like a hospital to get the blood work done. I'm losing all the terms as my life goes on.
No, I gotcha. Yeah. Very specific. I mean, you really get into the nuts and bolts on this. That's amazing.
Well, it's funny you say that because lawyers really need that information to figure out, like they start working right away. They understand, okay, the person took a field sobriety test, they failed it. So I have that working against me. I know I'm going to need X amount of appearances in court in order to do this. And then this way they can start letting the customer know what the process is going to look like based on that information. The county is really important because they might serve multiple counties and there's different types of laws. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know these things. I just know that they need it.
Right.
And so we send that to the lawyer instantly, and we can also try to patch the call right then and there. So say it's 10 o'clock at night, somebody's got they're calling about a DUI. Mm-hmm. If you have deemed that you want us to try and transfer the call to you, we'll call you up. We'll say, hey, Ms. Winter Brill, we have Nick Werker on the line. He got a DUI. He took a field sobriety test. He did X, Y, and Z. Here's the date of the arrest, the charge, the next court date, X, Y, Z. Do you want to take the phone call? If you want to take that phone call, we'll transfer it over to you. It's a warm transfer. Obviously, the person knows they're about to be connected with the lawyer that they were trying to call. And you can talk to that person. So those minutes don't count towards your bill. If you're worried about that, you can talk to that person until you're blue in the face. Okay. We don't charge you for that.
Right. Oh, wait, I just got to stop you, Nick, for a second. So that's interesting. So it's not like you're just taking messages and then you're giving messages later on in one big file to the legal firm. You're saying it's live, it's direct access, that you're putting the call directly through to the lawyer if they'd like to take the call on the spot.
100%. And because the business of law is the phone, but it's also the client is desperate, right? Like if I'm actually calling you about a DUI, I'm concerned that like my job is in jeopardy. I'm going to be going away to jail for X amount of, I don't know what the penalties are anymore for DUI. Thank the Lord, I never got one. I don't drive drunk. So there's that. But you need to be responding in a timely manner. So the fact that we can get in touch with you and get you on the phone as quickly as possible, or we can communicate to the client, hey, Ms. Winter Brill is not available at the moment. She just said she will call you back as soon as she gets out of court in an hour, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We can schedule the call for you. So there's a lot of things that we can do during the call that really work for each type of lawyer.
That's incredible. It's options. Yeah. It's either you're getting right through, but I love what you just said. We're going to call you back at XYZ time, not just, okay, we'll get back to you. That specificity is everything.
Yep. Because people want to know when they're going to hear back from you. Otherwise, they're going to try and call someone else.
Right.
So the other things that we can do, so say you can't take that call, you tell them you're going to call them back, or you say, can you schedule this phone call for me? We have access to lawyers' calendars. We just book in predetermined availability. So say, like we're just hooked up to like a calendaring software. Lawyers know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Say you take consultations from 9 to 4 every day. Right. If that spot is open, boom, we book it. We just make sure that the client agrees to be able to get a phone call at that time, and it's booked.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. I was wondering, well, what if you can't reach the lawyer to set up a time? But no, you have access to their calendar. So you know the available slots. So it's all taken care of. So the customer knows, okay, I have an appointment. I'm speaking to somebody. I don't need to call somebody else. Really, truly so comprehensive.
And I'm sure a lot of different lawyers who practice different types of law can see themselves in this example, right? Personal injury. They want to know the type of accident that you were involved in. If it was an auto accident,
Yeah.
the insurance company's involved, the date of the accident, did you go to the hospital, the injuries, are you out of work, so on and so forth. There's any number of things that we could ask, and lawyers can see themselves, I'm sure, in this like legal intake thing. But we also have predetermined scripts that we can give you if you're a newer law firm and you don't know what type of legal intake questions you should ask. We consult on everything.
And you said, just to repeat, there's 4 types of options, right? 4 different types of calls being answered.
That's just the main 4 practice areas that we answer for, but we answer for every type of law. The only thing that most like transactional business attorneys don't really want us, because everything is done through email, and so they don't want to hear from us.
Got it.
Everybody else.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, everybody else, they can use an answering service. They want to provide that level of customer service to their clientele. So we're good.
Right. Would you say that majority of the customers that you work with are, it's litigation, right? Most of these cases involve litigation.
Yes, that's exactly it. It's a lot of it doesn't even need to be criminal. It's civil, criminal litigation. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, all that said, once again, because we're saying a lot of stuff here, take us through some of the other features. And I know you've touched upon it, but some other features that Answering Legal provides for its customers.
Well, I'll tell you about some new features that I'm really excited about, that I really didn't expect the level of response that we would get. I thought like, but we just developed direct integrations with most or all of the major client relationship managers in the legal profession space. So we have an integration with Clio Grow. We integrate with MyCase, Lawmatics, you name it, we're integrated with it. But what that does is it just like helps lawyers stay organized. So in the past, we used to send you a message in text and email, and you would take that text message and you have to manually enter it into your CRM in order to like start a case or get organized. What happens now is it goes directly into your CRM and it's parsed in the exact way you need it. So there's no manual data entry anymore. And I find that really exciting because it's more convenient. It's more of, we practice what we preach, right? We're an extension of your firm. Yeah,
no, you're streamlining it, right? I mean, just, it sounds, just always streamlining, working on efficiency, eliminating a step. And as you say, time is money, right? So every second counts. And speaking of money, at some point we do have to talk about money, like my transition there. Money is just a reality of life. A lot of people want to know, how much is this going to cost me, Nick? How does billing work with Answering Legal?
So off the top of my head, I know that we start around, I want to say it's $3.55 a minute, and it goes all the way down to $2 a minute, depending on how much you use. It's all volume based. So what we try to do is grow alongside of you. If you need more, we try to give you more, and obviously incentivize you to grow.
Right. I was just gonna say, there have to be some incentives. The more you buy, the more you save.
Absolutely. So what happens with Answering Legal is we give you a free trial first, so that this way we can work out any of the kinks on our dime. We have to set up your call forwarding. We have to make sure that we're training our receptionists on how to answer. Again, practicing what we preach. We don't want to just like throw you out there and start answering your calls in a really stumble-footed way. We want to make sure we're doing a good job. So we figure all of that out while it's free for you.
Right.
We're
you get
also,
go ahead.
Exactly. Sorry. We're also measuring your call volume during that time, so that we can get a sense of like how much or how many minutes you're really going to be using on a monthly basis. Exactly. And then we offer you a flat rate. So we'll put you in a minute package, and they all have overage protection, because we don't really want to be punitive. We just want to make sure that like we're both getting a fair deal out of this. We want to stay in business. We need to make money. We need to pay our people, and we want to make sure that we're providing the best service that we possibly can. So we'll offer you this flat rate. Any package comes with any determinable amount of overage protection. And in that way, you don't have to pay extra every month or like be worried that you didn't get to the phone calls. You can sort of just rely on Answering Legal. And if if you're using above your minute packages minutes
Yeah.
on a, I'll say, consistent basis, like you're consistently going over 50%, doubling, because you can rely on it and you can advertise and grow, then we'll just call you up and say, hey, we need to move you to another minute package because this one's no longer appropriate.
Right.
And like, it's a win-win. You got to grow and you obviously got a bunch of new cases, and you get a lower per minute rate. We'll just stick you in the new one.
Yeah, but it's fluid, right? It's constantly changing, right?
It's fluid. We're not just whacking people's credit cards without telling them. We have a personal touch. There's a few people who handle that here, and they just make phone calls all day to let people know, like, hey, you're approaching the third month in a row of consistently going over. We want to put you in a new minute package.
Right.
And a lot of times people don't like that. Sometimes they might leave because they don't want to, go up in rate. But they usually come back.
Yeah, but at least you're giving them the option as opposed to just an automatic charge that they weren't aware of, right?
And it's not punitive. Yeah. It's not like our overage is at $5 a minute. No, our overage is actually at the next minute package's rate. But if you go over by a lot, that can get really expensive. So
right. Yeah. So you're looking out for the customer, which is, really true, which is why people keep coming back. But I love what you said about that trial, Nick, the 400-minute trial, because it's not just a trial for them. It's also a trial for you, right? Getting all the kinks out, figuring out the intake, how many minutes they need, right? All of that, is not on their dime, right? So we're getting all the players ready, getting everything in place, and then we go to work.
That's right. So it used to be that we would offer like a set amount of days. But like, that's not really attractive to a lawyer who, we want to be fair, right? If you're a lawyer and I call you up and I tell you, I'm going to offer you a week free of the service, that doesn't really do you any good, because you don't know at the end of it how many minutes you got to use, or if we got used to it. So we tried to make it as big and as valuable as possible. So we gave 400 minutes to our lawyers. I think it gets capped at 2 weeks, because if you use 400 minutes in a week, it's going to get expensive. Right. So we tried to be fair. The 400-minute free trial seemed to be this real sweet spot for people, because smaller law firms get to use it for an extended amount of time and really see the value in it. Yeah. And bigger firms that are really going to use those 400 minutes say like, wow, I was able to get so much more done when I didn't have to answer those phone calls. So again, it's been really cool to see people respond to that, because like, there's no credit card down. You don't have to worry that like we're going to charge you, or that, you didn't get enough use out of it to really see value. We're really trying to prove value to the customer. We don't want to just charge people and hold hostages. We want happy lifetime clients. That's what we're really looking for.
No, absolutely. My next question was, how did you come up with 400 minutes? But you answered a bit of trial and error, kind of figuring out that sweet spot. Super important. And also, just back to that idea of, just giving people a week of a free trial. The first thing I thought was, well, a week isn't one size fits all, right? You could have, most of your calls, maybe, 2 days out of the week, and, it's about the minutes, right? It's not, it's different concentrations each day. So it shouldn't be on a daily basis. It should be just total amount of, conversation minutes. So really important.
You said it. You understand.
I get it. I don't even have a law degree, but I feel like you do, though. I feel like you have an honorary law degree, Nick Werker.
You know what? If somebody wants to give me that, my parents will be very, very proud.
I'm sure they would be. It'll be here soon. I can guarantee that. And just a quick heads up. So this 400-minute free trial, this is new as of summer 2023?
Yes, I think it used to be shorter, and we're just trying to prove value. So yeah, it's going on for now. I don't know when the promotion will end. Okay. But we've gotten a really good response from it. So I don't know that it ever will, but if you're concerned that, you won't be able to get enough value out of the trial, or that it won't last long enough for you, or that the setup is going to take too long, you don't have to worry. The trial doesn't start until you start sending us your phone calls. So there's no like, hey, was I being charged? Did I get a real fair shake? Nope. 400 minutes.
Right. And I love it. Right. Yeah. And the trial doesn't go away. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't an expiration date on the trial. Every new customer gets access to a trial, correct?
That's 100% correct.
Amazing. Try before you buy, as they say. which is so important.
Yep.
All right. Segueing, Nick Werker, I heard that you are a little bit of a storyteller, and I think we've seen that so far. So before we wrap up today, I wanted to ask you, do you have any favorite stories or anecdotes, Nick, about answering legal customers that you've interacted with over the years? Anything kind of has a special place in your heart, or, oh my gosh, there was this one time I'll never forget?
I don't want to name names,
Right,
but
of course.
like you said, I'm a utility player.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing for me is getting involved in a lawyer's practice and being able to help them and point them in the right direction
Okay.
so that they can have success. So I won't mention this guy's name, but I'll say within the last year, the owner, Rob, he consults on a lot of these people's businesses. But Rob doesn't do what I do, and that's really work in the world of marketing and lead generation and customer service and things like that. He operates a large scale corporation.
Right.
So what he'll do is he'll tell somebody sometimes like, hey, let me go get my marketing guy, Nick. He really knows where to point you. And sometimes I just get to hop on phone calls with lawyers and tell them like, hey, I got a really great person that I know does really good work for your practice area. I know they don't have anybody in your area, so like in your location, so that they're not like feeding two beasts at the same time, and you're like competing with each other.
Yeah.
And I just like pointing people in the right direction and making sure that they're as successful as they can be. So those types of phone calls are the most rewarding for me, because I'll be like, oh, hey, you don't have any reviews and you're trying to get on Google local service ads. And one of the best ways to decrease your costs and increase your visibility is to get more reviews. Here's the best people I know at helping you get reviews, and this is how you're going to do it. So send me this and I'll set it all up. And to me, that's a lot of fun because I get to actually help the customer as opposed to just like communicating constantly. It's fun.
Yeah. But that's what makes you so valuable, because you're on those phone calls, right? You get a perspective that so many other people don't, and you take that information and you build upon it, right? To make the business better.
Yep. And I like that we're able to I like that the owner is invested in people's business, right? Like they'll have a real conversation about how they can be operating and hey, can you point me in the right direction? And my minutes are going to slow down soon. Can you keep an eye on it and like put me in a lower minute rate because I'm entering my slow season.
Yeah.
I don't know, based on whatever factor is in your area. I can't think of any right now, but like we'll work with you. We're a human-led company.
Baseline Answering Legal is all about humanity and customization. This is the opposite of cookie cutter, rather. Every customer is different. It is not one size fits all. So, even just with that anecdote, that conversation is different from every other conversation that's taking place. So to me, that just seems invaluable and really rare.
Yeah, but it's also a lot of fun.
And fun. Yes, I should say. It's also a lot of fun. All right, Nick, anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up?
No, actually, I lied. TWB, Ms. Taryn Winter Brill, I'm so excited to have you. It's great working with you.
Likewise.
It's amazing watching you work. You're good at what you do, and everybody's in for a treat watching you host this show.
Thank you. Thank you for the sweet, kind words. Right back at you. It's so great to be working with you, and I'm so impressed by everything you do and just the breadth of knowledge that you have, Nick Werker. It's incredible, the insight that you have, and especially being this utility player. So I think we're a good team. Are you going to come back in and hang out with us again here on the podcast?
Hang out with you every chance that I get. I'll probably be on the phone with you this weekend talking about this. So
awesome. All right. And you know what? But it's not going to go to voicemail.
Nope. My phone actually does go to the service.
Right. I figured. Lots of jokes with that. Anyway, Nick, thank you so much. And we will see you again soon.
Thank you.
All right. That is all the time we have for this episode of Inside Answering Legal. Now, if you want to learn more about our company, we encourage you to visit answeringlegal.com. And of course, stay tuned to future episodes of this podcast. Remember, all episodes of Inside Answering Legal can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Answering Legal YouTube channel. I'm TWB. We'll see you next time.